Welcome to the first episode of Dog Pound Dish Film Study, a complement to the Cleveland Browns podcast called Dog Pound Dish. I'm not going to subject anybody to a 10-minute long intro, but basically this is where we're going to delve into the nuances of Browns football. But if you do want news, updates, and rumors on the Cleveland Browns, I will leave a link to the podcast in the description of the video, so if you want to check that out, make sure to go do so. But for now, let's talk about some Browns football and film. So this is Mayfield's first passing attempt of the Week 7 matchup against the Bengals. It got off to a slow start, and this was the interception. So Mayfield is in I formation with 2 running backs, a tight end, and 2 wide receivers. This is 21 personnel, which is a heavy formation, and we all know Kevin Stefanski loves to have big body formations in a run-heavy offense. Note that the reason why it's called weak I formation is because you've got a tight end on the strong side of the formation, and then 2 running backs, one which is the fullback, centered toward the actual weak side of the formation. So looking at the routes on this specific play, Jarvis Landry is running a curl route on the far side of the formation. Then you have David Njoku, the tight end, who's running a quick curl. In the backfield, the fullback, Andy Janovich, the one with his hand in the ground, is running a flat route, just an emergency pass in case nothing's open. And then Kareem Hunt is running a swing route to slip out of the backfield, and OBJ will finish things off with a go route to stretch the field. On this play, the Bengals are running cover 3 out of a little bit of an oddity as Manny Bledsoe, the defensive end, is actually going to drop into coverage, but nonetheless it still retains the same basic idea of cover 3. So the Browns have had a lot of cover 3 ran against them, presumably less now that OBJ is injured for the season. Cover 3 is excellent to stop the deep play ability off play action. Cover 3 eliminates all outside deep passing plays because you can have a safety helping in the middle, helping the 2 corners that are dropping into their deep blue zones to really shut off that deep passing game. And Mayfield's strong arm coupled with Odell Beckham's deep threat ability is just very hard to stop. And you also have the ability to load the box with defenders to stop Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. So on paper, this actually, with what the Browns are running on this play, the defense actually is in a very poor position because cover 3 is not meant to stop the quick timing throws that Baker Mayfield is presumably very good at. And that's presumably, because on this play, he does not throw the quick, timely throws that he's so good at, and what this concept allows him and encourages him to do. So Baker motions Njoku over to the other side of the offensive line, and as seen, no one follows him, indicating this is zone coverage that the Bengals are running, not man. So David Njoku heads over to the other side of the formation, and Mayfield snaps the ball. And Jarvis Landry comes open on his curl route in the underneath areas of the field that cover 3 is not built to stop. And make no mistake, that corner you see on the far side of the formation is going to cover Kareem Hunt, who is a big threat out of the backfield in the flat. So all Baker has to do is throw it towards the center of the field to Jarvis's left, and that should be a nice little gain, but he decides to chuck it down the field to OBJ because of his presence on the field, and in fact, sometimes Mayfield only worries about OBJ simply because of his presence not taking his eyes off him. And as you can see on this play for yourself, Mayfield's eyes, based on his head and helmet, do not once look toward the left area of the field where all his check down routes are. There is no motion of his head or helmet to indicate he's even scanned that area of the field because he's just blindly decided to chuck it down to his number 1 star receiver, Odell Beckham. And just a couple offensive drives later in the same Bengals game, of course after OBJ suffered his season-ending injury, the Browns run the same play as previously shown. The only difference is that it is flipped, right? So everything is just flipped to the other side of the field. But as you can see, it's the same play. And in fact, it is also the same coverage that they're facing. The same cover 3, the same defensive end dropping into coverage. It's the exact same play, just everything is flipped to the other side of the formation. But you've noticed I just said same about 10 times, right? So what makes this play different from the one that we just watched? Well, not only is OBJ not on the field, but Baker's decision-making is much better. He goes through his progressions and knows where the ball needs to go and puts the ball there, which is to Jarvis Landry in the underneath area of the field. He doesn't hesitate, He doesn't panic. He uses what he sees with his eyes and scans the defense and makes the smart throw to Landry for a nice pickup and extra offensive momentum, which helped the Browns win this game. Now, this is from a play in the Steelers game in Week 6. This was a very bad day for Mayfield. On this specific play, he's looking to convert a 3rd and 10, down by 10 in the first quarter, and he has 3 receivers on the field in shotgun. The Browns receivers are running a couple of interesting routes on this play. Austin Hooper, the tight end, is running a little bit of a drag route to the flat. Then continuing on that side of the field, Jarvis Landry runs a little bit of an in route, a very deep in, and then Rashard Higgins has a little bit of a go route in the middle of the field. The running back, which is D'Ernest Johnson at the time, runs a curl route as a check down option. And then on the far side of the formation is the number 1 receiver, OBJ, who's going to try to run a comeback route on this play. And again, another cover 3 look for Mayfield. The Browns face cover 3 so much because, again, you can stop the big play threat. A lot of the times, as you'll see, there is a weakness to this cover 3 in the deep passing game, but you also have the ability and flexibility to load the box against those very tough to bring down running backs of Cleveland. Again, they didn't have Nick Chubb in this game, but still. But what makes the Steelers' defense so good is the disguised coverages that they can implement into their defense. You look at this play, and it has an iconic roof that shows cover 4. That is an indicator of cover 4, but he just does not recognize that this isn't that coverage, and as you'll see, that costs him a potential touchdown because he's so adamant about getting the ball to OBJ. Now, the Steelers are actually running cover 3 buzz, meaning that the safety is actually coming down to play in the middle of the field, basically. So Baker, doing basic NFL quarterback stuff, needs to recognize that the safety stays pat. So he should know that Higgins is going to be wide open on the seams because in cover 3 buzz, the seams are a huge weakness against cover 3 buzz. But against cover 4, that is the worst place to throw, and Baker just does not adapt to that because, again, he is so focused on just getting the ball to one player. The ball needs to go down the seam to Rashard Higgins. The near safety is not going to stop Higgins. He is currently on Jarvis Landry, and the safety covering the deep third in the middle, he is also not in a position to stop Higgins because his feet are not moving fast enough to catch up to him. So the Browns do not convert on this 3rd down. They punt the ball and they just give up another possession. They just couldn't find anything going. On this Steelers game, OBJ, it's not his fault, but his presence definitely affects Mayfield. Now, something that I noticed when looking over at this play, something I just want to say before we move on, he just predetermines where the ball is going, and a quarterback's eyes tell everything. Any person that studies film will tell you that, and any NFL coach will tell you that, especially defensive coordinators. Where the quarterback's eyes are determines where the ball is going, and Mayfield's eyes do not bait anyone. Some of the great quarterbacks are able to bait defenders' eyes and move defenders around at will to find open lanes in the passing game, but I'm not asking Mayfield to do that. He's not at that level quite yet. But he needs to be able to recognize, this isn't cover 4 as I initially thought before the snap, but it's not, so let me improvise and work through my reads. And he's just not able to do that, and I think that without the looming presence of OBJ, he will be able to get better and eventually master that aspect of being an NFL quarterback. Now, this next play is from the Raiders game last week, where the Browns did lose, but Mayfield had a pretty good day without OBJ. On this play, the Raiders call a pretty vanilla cover 1. There's man across the board, there's also a safety covering the deep middle of the field, but they do have Jonathan Abram, the other safety, fake a blitz to the line of scrimmage, but then actually return to cover his zone. And the Browns have a pretty favorable play call to beat this Raiders defense on this play. They've got 2 outside receivers clearing out the zones with the out routes that they're running. The running back is slipping out of the backfield to take a linebacker out of the play, and the main reads are actually Njoku and Jarvis Landry that are going to run in routes to try to get the first down because it's a 3rd and 9, and you really need to convert this if you had a chance of winning this game. This is in shotgun with trips right, and trips right means 3 receivers that are split out to the right are all on one side of the field, hence the name trips right. Note that even though there is a tight end on this play, David Njoku, he is split out as a receiver, as you can see, not on the outside of the offensive line, basically meaning he's a receiver on this specific play. Anyway, the reason why this play call should work is because you can confuse the safety covering the underneath area of the field with two in routes running into his zone. You have David Njoku, who's an extremely athletic tight end. He can create some separation. And Jarvis Landry is an extremely crisp route runner, so he will also be able to get separation. So all Mayfield needs to do is calmly stay in the pocket and throw the ball to whoever is open, which he does. He is able to go through his reads and put the ball on the open man, and that would have been a first down conversion driving down the field if Njoku decided to use his hands. And again, quarterback's eyes tell you everything you need to know. You can see that Mayfield is calm in the pocket going through his progressions, and he doesn't latch on to one receiver to force him the ball. Some might argue that he should have thrown it to Landry, who has better hands, but that's not the case because 1, the safety's hips were square, meaning that he could have easily jumped the route to Landry, and the safety had no chance in interfering with Njoku's route. And 2, that was a perfectly thrown ball and a very good decision by Mayfield that was on Njoku and not Baker. So just to wrap things up on our first film study episode, I want to close off by saying that I strongly believe that Baker Mayfield is a better quarterback without his star wide receiver Odell Beckham. He's a much more efficient quarterback that plays to the offense's strength, and he doesn't have that aggressive chuck it down to OBJ because I need to mentality that brings out the worst of his aggressive mentality. The Browns' best offensive football is ahead of them. You're getting a healthy Chubb back that's going to pound into defenses, you're getting your best offensive lineman back that can block up front, and you're getting your 2018 rookie quarterback back in Mayfield. It's gonna be scary.